Thank you. Yeah.
I definitely second what both Sid and Catherine said. I'm also 17, so I'm not eligible to vote, but this is an issue I'm very passionate about. I think not voting can't be attributed to not having enough information. It can be attributed to ignorance and people just not wanting to, use their voices and their votes to support underprivileged communities and the LGBTQ plus community and other communities that these policies really affect their lives on a day-to-day basis. So I think that everyone should vote who's able to, because it's a vote for not only your life but the lives of so many other people. I would tell any peers that, if they were tentative on voting, saying that they didn't have enough information, I would say, well, here's what you have to know. Politics affects every single aspect of everyone's lives, and that's all you need to know. So you should vote. And if someone is still not sure about, which candidate is going to enact which policies, they should at least do a bit of research. I think that's the minimum, because it affects everyone in this country, even if you're not underprivileged or in those marginalized populations, it affects you too. So I think that not only teens, but everyone should keep that in mind and vote for everyone's lives.
Absolutely. Nick or Mariah?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what's been said. I think voting definitely goes even deeper than the presidential level. I see it as even going more deeper to your own communities, because as Trisha kind of hit on a bit before, was it's about helping other people, right? So some of the issues that you may face in your community or you may face personally, thousands of other people also feel the exact same way. And if you understand how crucial that one vote is to all those thousands of people, it shows that you have more of a purpose in our democracy than you believe you do. And I think for me, voting, I'm actually, as this group, I'm actually fortunate enough I am able to vote, you know, so lucky me. But the importance of voting was thus that so many people died for this ability that we have, especially if you're a woman or a minority in the US, this wasn't a right that was given to all people. It's only a gift to mostly Caucasian white men. So just to be able to say that I have this right and to have a privilege that my grandparents died for, it just gives a different type of resonation with me and a different type of importance. So I think for a lot of people, especially teens that don't think their vote matters, it's like these same feelings and doubts that you have, just understand that they're not so different from other kids in a different area than you. And that same understanding, the same type of fear you may have, you can actually find a solution for it. And that solution, a part of it, is with your vote. And that would be the number one thing I'd probably tell to someone my age.
Right on.
I would definitely have to agree with you, Nick. It goes so much farther than just a candidate or who's tweeting what and all these kind of superficial things that we tend to fixate on, or like the smallest little things that we want to pick out in whoever's running for whatever high position for our country. But actually in school, we've been learning about more like the philosophy behind voting and behind what goes on in this country. And there's something that Milton Friedman, who's a philosopher about like free enterprise and capitalism, talks about social responsibility and how it doesn't really exist. And I really, as much as like, these people are deemed philosophers, I would have to disagree that social responsibility, it does exist. And we each hold this responsibility for somebody else that no matter what skin color, no matter what background that we've come from, everything is privilege. Us living in America solely being able to argue about who to vote for is a privilege, because there's people right now, especially in Armenia, that 3 generations are having to go to war based off of stuff that's happened in the past of genocide and it coming back up, or the concentration camps in China. Those people don't have choices to vote and to stay out of that situation. But we do, and we can't let that privilege and that opportunity go to waste because of bad blood or because we're not educated. Like I say, ignorance breeds injustice. And that's basically the biggest thing going on, is that we're continuing to, you know, continuing to pretend that we're blind to all these things happening in our own country just because it makes us uncomfortable and we don't want to confront all these things that are happening. And that also has to do with corporations. I mean, like, um, the people that are in like the 1 percentile got, I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I think it was about 100 million or more like richer during the pandemic, while there was people on stimulus checks who've been waiting and you know, people getting evicted and stuff like that happening, losing their jobs. But it really goes down to who exactly we want to vote for, and that's not out of our mouths, and it's not based on a candidate. We're voting for the people who didn't have a choice in the very back end of our country's beginnings. The people that were put in the fields to work and are still put in the fields to work. Like, there's so many migrant workers in fields right now who are picking our berries for us. And we just, oh, pick up, carton, go home. That's it. Those people are working there for 20 hours picking berries for us with literally the smallest percentage of pay. And they probably put in more labor hours than we do in a whole year. And I just think it's so incredibly important that we don't lose sight of what exactly we want to build as a population for our country. We don't want to continue leaving our generations with less and less of a humane society, or even a clean earth. Like, our earth is all we got, basically. And I think it's just time that we recognize that without any bias or anything, oh, I'm a Democrat and my whole entire family is a Democrat, which means I must stay Democratic, or I'm a Republican, my whole family's Republican, so I must stay Republican, and all those things that we really tend to fixate on. And I'm very, very talkative about this, and I can go on more, but that's pretty much the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Arpit Ranasaria, sorry if I completely butchered your name, on YouTube wrote, being an idealist, I also agree that social responsibility exists and is super important. Too often we don't accept our social responsibility and choose to stay ignorant. So, and with 2 minutes left, is there anything else that anybody wanted to add?
I'd just like to add that I think human rights and climate change, these are not political issues. These are human issues that must be tackled regardless of someone's political viewpoints. Mariah was talking about this too, how we need to stop fixating on what our family tells us and what society tells us, and do what's good for the common good of the people and our environment.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of educating yourself, if you're seeking information about the current election, how to register, pre-register, if you want to make a voting plan, there are many, many resources, but a few, iwillvote.com, the Gen Zine, which is a publication dedicated to addressing contemporary issues through the lens of Generation Z. And they have an election guidebook, The Divided States of America. I love that title. And then Coalition Z, which is a youth-led policy-focused organization connecting Gen Z with government. I also encourage you to reach out to any of the panelists here today. I'm putting you on the spot, who are active community leaders. And I'm sure they'd be happy to help you learn about how you came to start your work and just activism work in general. In closing, I urge older generations to invite Gen Z to participate in public discourse and decision-making. As Gen Z gets older, so too will their political clout. So once that sink in, we all can benefit from the power of Gen Z. You all are an authority on technology and social media. You have the willingness to have difficult conversations and a passion to better the world, not just for yourselves and your friends and your family, but for the world, as all of you have said. Thank you so much, Trisha, Sid, Nick, Kat, Mariah, for your time today. I appreciate the work that you do. You are inspiring and give me so much hope for our country and for our world. I'm getting all emotional. I hope that older generations catch on soon and create more space where your voices can be heard. So yes, thank you. Is there any last comments or thoughts that you have before we close?
Very quickly, your vote doesn't end on November 3rd. It continues for however long that position is. So make sure you're thinking about the longevity of the race, not the short term. We're thinking about a marathon, and this will affect generations and generations, whatever this president or whatever your local election happens, like whatever policy they make will affect everyone. So it doesn't end on November 3rd.
Nice. Yeah. Great reminder. All right. Well, thank you again. I know that you're all really super busy. So yeah, thanks. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or ideas or whatever. And have a wonderful evening or night wherever you are.
Thank you so much, Odani. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure speaking to you.
Yay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
For
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.